Hello everyone. Advanced Computer Architecture, Chapter 4, Processors and Memory Hierarchy. CISC scalar processors. Early systems had only integer fixed point facilities. Modern machines have both fixed and floating point facilities, sometimes as parallel functional units. Many CISC scalar machines are under-pipelined. Representative CISC processors VAX 8600, Motorola MC68040, and Intel Pentium. The VAX 8600 was introduced by Digital Equipment Corporation in 1985. This machine implemented a typical CISC architecture with microprogrammed control. The instruction set contained about 300 instructions with 20 different addressing modes. The CPU in the VAX 8600 consisted of two functional units for concurrent execution of integer and floating point instructions. The unified cache was used for holding both instructions and data. There were 16 GPRs in the instruction unit. Instruction pipeline was built with 6 stages in the VAX 8600. The instruction unit free-fetched and decoded instructions, handled branching operations, and supplied operand to the two functional units in pipelined fashion. A translation look-aside buffer was used in the main control unit for fast generation of a physical address from a virtual address. Both integer and floating point units were pipelined. The performance of the processor pipelines relied heavily on the cache hit ratio and on minimal branching damage to the pipeline flow. MC68040 is an architecture which contains more than 1.2 million transistors. The processor implements over 100 instructions using 16 general-purpose registers. A 4 kilobyte data cache and a 4 kilobyte instruction cache with separate memory management units supported by an address translation cache equivalent to TLB used in other systems. The data formats range from 8 to 8-bit with provision of IEEE floating point standard. 18 addressing modes are supported, including register direct and indirect, indexing, memory indirect, program counter indirect, absolute, and immediate modes. The instruction set includes data movement, integer, BCD, and floating point arithmetic, logical shifting, bit field manipulation, cache maintenance, and multiprocessor communications, in addition to program and system control and memory management instructions. The integer unit is organized in a 6-stage instruction pipeline. The floating point unit consists of 3 pipeline stages. All instructions are decoded by the integer unit. Floating point instructions are forwarded to the floating point unit for execution. Separate instruction and data bus are used to and from the instruction and data memory unit respectively. Dual MMUs allow interleaved fetch of instructions and data from the main memory. Both the address bus and data bus are 32 bits wide. Three simultaneous memory requests can be generated by the dual MMUs, including data operand read and write and instruction pipeline refill. Snooping logic is built on the memory unit for monitoring bus events for the cache invalidation. The complete memory management is provided with support for virtually demand paged operating system. RISC scalar processors designed to issue one instruction per cycle. RISC and CISC scalar processors should have same performance if clock rate and program lengths are equal. RISC moves less frequent operation into software, thus dedicating hardware resources to the most frequently used operations. Representative RISC processors: Sun SPARC-C, Intel i860, Motorola M88100, AMD 29000. The diagram shows the architecture of Cypress CY7C601 SPARC-C processor. The Sun SPARC-C instruction set contains 69 basic instructions. The SPARC-C runs each procedure with a set of 32-bit IU registers. 8 of these registers are global registers shared by all procedures, and remaining 24 are window registers associated with only each procedure. The concept of using overlapped register window is the most important feature introduced by the Berkeley RISC architecture. Figure shows 8 overlapping windows formed with 64 local registers and 64 overlapped registers, and 8 globals with the total of 136 registers. Each register window is divided into 3 8-register sections labeled ins, locals, and outs. The local registers are only locally addressable by each procedure. The ins and outs are shared among procedures. The calling procedure passes parameter to the called procedure via its outs R8 to R15 registers, which are the ins registers of the called procedure. The window of the current running procedure is called the active window point to by a current window pointer. A window invalid mask is used to indicate which window is invalid. The trap base register serves as a pointer to the trap handler. A special register is used to create a 64-bit product in multiple step instructions. Procedures can also be called without changing the window. The overlapping windows can significantly save the time required for inter-procedure communications, resulting in much faster context switching among cooperative procedures. Intel i860 processor is a 64-bit RISC processor fabricated on a single chip containing more than 1 million transistors. There were 9 functional units interconnected by multiple data paths with widths ranging from 32 to 128 bits. All external or internal address buses were 32-bit wide, and the external data path or internal data bus was 64 bits wide. However, the internal RISC integer ALU was only 32 bits wide. The instruction cache had 4 kilobytes organized as a two-way set associative memory with 32 bytes per cache block. It transferred 64 bits per clock cycle, equivalent to 320 megabytes per second at 40 megahertz. The data cache was two-way set associative memory of 8 kilobytes. It transferred 128 bits per clock cycle at 40 megahertz. A wide back policy was used. Caching could be inhibited by software if needed. The bus control unit coordinated the 64-bit data transfer between the chip and the outside world. The MMU implemented protected 4 kilobyte paged virtual memory of 2 raised to the power 32 bytes via a TLB. The paging and MMU structure of the I-860 was identical to that implemented in the I-486. An I-860 and an I-486 could be used jointly in a heterogeneous multiprocessor system, permitting the development of compatible OS kernels. The RISC integer unit executed load, store, integer, bit, and control instructions and fetched instructions for floating point control unit as well. There were two floating point units, namely the multiplier unit and the adder unit, which could be used separately or simultaneously under the coordination of floating point control unit. Special dual operation floating point instructions such as add and multiply and subtract and multiply used both the multiplier and adder units in parallel. Furthermore, both the integer unit and floating point control unit could execute concurrently. In this sense, the I-860 was also a superscalar RISC processor capable of executing two instructions, one integer and one floating point, at the same time. The floating point unit conformed to IEEE 754 floating point standard, operating with single precision 32-bit and double precision 64-bit operands. Superscalar vector processors. A CISC or a RISC scalar processor can be improved with a superscalar or vector architecture. Scalar processors are those executing one instruction per cycle. Only one instruction is issued per cycle and only one completion of instruction is expected from the pipeline per cycle. In a superscalar processor, multiple instructions are issued per cycle and multiple results are generated per cycle. A vector processor executes vector instructions on arrays of data. Each vector instruction involves a string of repeated operations. which are ideal for pipelining with one result per cycle. Superscalar processors. Superscalar processors are designed to exploit more instruction-level parallelism in user programs. Only independent instructions can be executed in parallel without causing a wait state. The amount of instruction-level parallelism varies widely depending on the type of code being executed. It has been observed that the average value is around 2 for code without loop unrolling. Therefore, for these codes, there is not much benefit gained from building a machine that can issue more than 3 instructions per cycle. The instruction issue degree in a superscalar processor has thus been limited to 2 to 5 in practice. The fundamental structure of a 3-issue superscalar pipeline is shown in the diagram. Superscalar processors were originally developed as an alternative to vector processors with a view to exploit higher degree of instruction level parallelism. A superscalar processor of degree M can issue M instruction per cycle. In this sense, the base scalar processor implemented either in RISC or CISC has M is equal to 1. In order to fully utilize a superscalar processor of degree M, M instruction must be executed in parallel. This situation may not be true in all clock cycles. In that case, some of the pipeline may be stalling in a wait state. In a superscalar processor, the simple operation latency should require only one cycle, as in the base scalar processor. Due to the desire for a higher degree of instruction level parallelism in program, the superscalar processor depends more on optimizing compiler to exploit parallelism. A typical superscalar architecture for a RISC processor is shown in the diagram. The instruction cache supplies multiple instructions per fetch. However, the actual number of instructions issued to various functional unit may vary in each cycle. The number is constrained by data dependencies and resource conflicts among instructions that are simultaneously decoded. Multiple functional units are built into the integer unit and into the floating point unit. Multiple data buses exist among the functional units. In theory, all functional units can be simultaneously used if conflicts and dependencies do not exist among them during a given cycle. IBM RS6000 is a superscalar processor with 3 functional units called the branch processor, fixed point unit, and floating point unit, which could operate in parallel. The branch processor could arrange the execution of up to 5 instructions per cycle. These included one branch instruction in the branch processor, one fixed point instruction in the FXU, one condition register instruction in the branch processor, and one floating point multiply add instruction in the FPU, which could be counted as 2 floating point operations. As any RISC processor, RS6000 used hardwired rather than microcoded control logic. The system used a number of wide buses ranging from one word, that is 32 bits for FXU, to two word, means 64 bits for the FPU, and four word for the I cache and D cache respectively. These wide buses provided the high instruction and data bandwidths required for superscalar implementation. VLIW architecture. VLIW, very long instruction word. Instructions usually hundreds of bits long. Each instruction word essentially carries multiple short instructions. Each of the short instructions are effectively issued at same time. This is related to the long words frequently used in microcode. Compilers for VLIW architectures should optimally try to predict branch outcomes to properly group instructions. The VLIW architecture is generalized from two well-established concepts: horizontal microcoding and superscalar processing. A typical VLIW machine has instruction words hundreds of bits in length. Multiple functional units are used concurrently in VLIW processor. All functional units share the use of a common large register file. The operation to be simultaneously executed by the functional units are synchronized in a VLIW instruction, say 256 or 1024 bit per instruction word, an early example being the multi-flow computer model. Different fields of long instruction and word carry the opcodes to be dispatched to different functional units. Programs written in conventional short instruction word must be computed together to form the VLIW instructions. This code compaction must be done by a compiler which can predict branch outcomes using elaborate heuristics or runtime statistics. The execution of instructions by an ideal VLIW processor is shown in the diagram. Each instruction specifies multiple operations. The effective CPI becomes 0.33 in this particular example. VLIW machines behave much like superscalar machines with the three differences. First, the decoding of VLIW instruction is easier than that of superscalar instructions. Second, the code density of the superscalar machine is better when the available instruction level parallelism is less than that exploitable by the VLIW machine. This is because the fixed VLIW format includes bits for non-executable operations, while the superscalar processor issues only executable instructions. Third, a superscalar machine can be object code compatible with a large family of non-parallel machines. On the contrary, a VLIW machine exploiting different amount of parallelism would require different instruction sets. VLIW opportunities. Random parallelism among scalar operations is exploited in VLIW instead of regular parallelism in a vector or SIMD machine. The success of VLIW processor depends on efficiency in code compaction. Different implementations of the same VLIW architecture may not be binary compatible with each other. By explicitly encoding parallelism in the long instruction, a VLIW processor can in theory eliminate the hardware or software needed to detect parallelism. Main advantage of VLIW architecture is its simplicity in hardware structure and instruction set. A vector processor is a coprocessor designed to perform vector computations. A vector is a one-dimensional array of data items. Vector processors are often used in multi-pipelined supercomputers. Architectural types include register to register with shorter instructions and register files. And second one, memory to memory, longer instructions with memory addresses. Register-based vector instructions appear in most register-to-register vector processors, like Cray supercomputers. Denote a vector register of length n as Vi, a scalar register as Si, and a memory array of length n as m of 1 to n. Typical register-based vector operations are listed below, where a vector operator is denoted by a small circle O. Memory-based vector operations are found in memory-to-memory vector processors, such as those in the early supercomputers CDC Cyber 205. Listed below are few examples where m1 of 1 to n and m2 of 1 to n are two vectors of length n, and m of k denotes a scalar quantity stored in memory location k. Note that the vector length is not restricted by register length. Long vectors are handled in a streaming fashion using superwords cascaded from many shorter memory words. Vector processors take advantage of unrolled loop-level parallelism. The vector pipelines can be attached to any scalar or superscalar processor. Dedicated vector pipelines eliminate some software overhead in looping control. Of course, the effectiveness of a vector processor relies on the capability of an optimizing compiler that vectorizes sequential code for vector pipelining. Typically, applications in science and engineering can make good use of vector processing capabilities. The pipelined execution in a vector processor is compared with that in a scalar processor is shown in the diagram. Symbolic processors. Symbolic processing have been applied in many areas, including theorem proving, pattern recognition, expert systems, knowledge engineering, text retrieval, cognitive science, and machine intelligence. Symbolic processors have also been called prologue processors, Lisp processors, or symbolic manipulators. Characteristics of symbolic processing. Characteristics of knowledge representations are lists, relational databases, scripts, semantic nets, frames, blackboards, objects, production systems. Characteristics of common operations are search, sort, pattern matching, filtering, contexts, partitions, transitive closures, unification, text retrieval, set operations, and reasoning. Characteristics of memory requirements are large memory with intensive access pattern, addressing is often content based, locality of reference may not hold. Characteristics of communication patterns are message traffic varies in size and destination. Granularity and format of message unit change with applications. Characteristics of properties of algorithms are non-deterministic, possibly parallel and distributed computations. Data dependencies may be global and irregular in pattern and granularity. Characteristics of input or output requirements are user-guided programs, intelligent person-machine interfaces. Inputs can be graphical and audio as well as from keyboard. Access to very large online databases. Finally, characteristics of architecture features are parallel update of large knowledge bases, dynamic load balancing, dynamic memory allocation, hardware supported garbage collection, stack processor architecture, and symbolic processors. The processor architecture of the symbolic 3600 is shown in the diagram. This is a stack-oriented machine. The division of the overall machine architecture into layers allowed the use of a simplified instruction set design, while implementation was carried out with stack-oriented machine. Since most operands were fetched from stack, the stack buffer and scratch pad memories were implemented as fast caches to main memory. The Symbolics 3600 executed most Lisp instructions in one machine cycle. Integer instructions fetched operands from the stack buffer and the duplicate top of the stack in the scratchpad memory. Floating point addition, garbage collection, data type checking by the tag processor, and fixed point addition could be carried out in parallel. Thank you.